is Christopher Drost and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to cover some popular media that I have been enjoying over the last month. But first I want to do a little announcement. Vicky over at Victoria's Writing Secret has requested a video on writing trans characters. Because I don't think one video is enough to cover everything that you will be needing to know about writing trans characters, I've decided to make it into a series. Obviously I have an idea what I want to cover, but my view is quite biased of what is common knowledge and what I should really cover on the video as a basic. So if you have any questions, remarks, anything that you think I should cover about writing trans characters, please leave a comment down below and I will incorporate it into the series. Or if you prefer, you can ask me on either Twitter or Instagram. First I'm going to cover the TV series we have been watching. After that I'm going to get into movies and last but not least books. First one I want to talk about is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We picked this up just after New Year's because we wanted something easy and funny to watch, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine was a great choice. The genre is listed as comedy crime. It feels like a buddy cop, except that there's a lot of buddies and cops. Now the show is about Jake Peralta. Jake Peralta is a talented but goofy detective who is very used to not following the rules, and he can do it. Like the NYPD is his playground. Unfortunately for Jake, he's getting a new superior, which is Captain Holt, and Captain Holt has decided that being good is absolutely no excuse for Jake to break the rules. That is the premise. Let me first tell you, I absolutely love Jake as a character. He is incredibly relatable to me. He does a lot of things that I also do. For me, it kind of feels like if I were a detective instead of a writer. The first thing I really like about the show is that the cast is very diverse and is also very good representation. It is something I look for in shows. It's something that showrunner Michael Schur does very well in all his other shows too. It's just not stereotyped. About half of the cast is female. We have gay characters, we have bisexual characters, we have basically everything in this one show. There is no trans character on the show, but what I really appreciate about it is that the times that it is mentioned, it is very positive about trans people. And in terms of representation, there is a gay couple on the show because Holt happens to be gay and he happens to be black, and he is in an interracial relationship with a white guy, so I really like this representation because it is just very, it's something that's not usually shown. Like a straight couple is usually not even interracial, so this is really cool to me. Another thing that has been very well written in the show is friendship versus romantic love. I'm gonna get a little bit more into why the friendship and the romantic relationships are very well written on this show when I compare it to the next show. I really recommend watching this show. It's a lighthearted comedy, it's fun, it is everything you want in a comedy. It currently is on its 6th season. I've only seen the first 5 seasons because the rest of them are not available to me yet on Netflix. I'm really looking forward when I can finally watch the 6th season because it was really good and I can't wait to see more. Then the next show I want to talk about is Merlin. Merlin is a little bit older. The genre is adventure, drama, fantasy. It's loosely based off the legends of King Arthur from Camelot, of course. It's kind of in the same style as young Indiana Jones, like young James Bond, you know, that kind of show. And it's actually very enjoyable. The show features younger versions of all the characters from the legends and how they got together / grew apart. Because everything, they start in a very different place than where you start off in the legends. Now, this show is a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching it. We got through approximately 3 seasons, but it is littered with tropes and cliches, and it is a very structured show. So there will always be like the same plot elements to it that are in every one. So it was actually so bad that at some point me and my girlfriend, we made a bingo card that we played with, like, okay, we've got a bingo, and there were things on that like, hey, Merlin goes to see the dragon, and you know, bingo, like, it just happened a lot. Or Morgana gives us a dirty look, or somebody sneaks into a room, they talk themselves out of it. Like these are things that were repeated over and over and over again. This works if you watch the show week by week. This does not work when you binge watch something, so that is a little bit of a side note. Originally, when I started watching, I knew the show was already cancelled. But I thought that the show was much older than it actually was. I thought the show was made at least a decade earlier because of the quality of CG, of the story writing. It was a very old-fashioned format, so I expected the show to be older. I want to compare the friendship and romantic love from Brooklyn Nine-Nine versus Merlin. Because here is a very sharp contrast. In Merlin, friendship and romantic love are mostly gender-based, really. And what I mean when I say gender-based is that the friendship between Arthur and Merlin is written in exactly the same way as the romantic love story between Arthur and Gwen. So there is really no difference except that we're supposed to think of Arthur and Merlin as two friends, even though they have the same dynamic going on as a romantic interest because, well, she is a woman and he's a man, so obviously they're in love. But oh no, they're just good friends. This is where you go into a little bit of queer baiting. Like, people think it's queer baiting. I think it's just very poorly written male friendship. Because, you know, a friendship is not the same as a love interest. Now, if I compare this to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there's a lot of friendship on the show, but for example, the dynamic between Amy and Jake is very different from Jake and Boyle. I don't think, well, I did not check, but I would personally not think there was anything between Jake and Boyle. They're very clearly good friends. While you kind of feel it coming with Amy that, you know, they're maybe a little bit more than just good friends. And, you know, that also happens. It was actually kind of funny how two shows that I watched about the same time are so contrasting in writing quality. Next thing I want to talk about is the MCU. Because Endgame is coming, me and my girlfriend were rewatching the MCU movies in order of release. So we watched the first two Iron Man movies. I was sort of looking forward to watching the first Iron Man movie. The second one, not so much, because I remembered it being really sucky. And the first thing I want to say, the first Iron Man movie, it really aged very well. I thought that the CGI would have been a little bit older by now, but that actually went very well. It was still very believable. I mean, it's not a new movie, but it's not like you're watching Jurassic Park 10 years later and you need a remastered version. The thing that I really was reminded of is that Robert Downey Jr. is perfect as Tony Stark. He just is that character. He is so incredibly believable and likable in a very weird way. Something that I really did not enjoy about the plot of Iron Man, and it gets a little bit better in the second movie, but the first movie, there's this really unequal relationship between Pepper and Tony. Because, you know, Tony is her boss. Tony is being complete asshole to her. He's not likable at all. Why would she even date this guy? Like, seriously. Why? And this is one of those things where I go like, okay, this is a problematic relationship. We're supposed to think it's romantic what he does, but what Tony does is he constantly belittles her, ignores her. He is her boss, so there's a huge power imbalance. And I really did not enjoy watching that. That did not age well. Like I said, this gets slightly better in the second movie, and I think that's mostly contributed to the fact that Pepper becomes the CEO of Stark Industries. So she suddenly has power over him. Now this changes the dynamic a little bit and it gets a little bit better. Doesn't make him less of an asshole because he's still not listening to her. And I still don't know what she is seeing in him. Something else that I really enjoyed about the first Iron Man movie in particular is that the way that the solution to problems is foreshadowed. To give an example, the first time Tony takes out his new Iron Man suit, he flies up and kind of like Icarus, like a reversed Icarus really, he goes up too high and his system freezes and he falls down. So, and this is kind of presented as a trial and error, so you go like, oh cool, that can happen to the suit apparently. But the fun thing is that it actually comes back in the climax, the battle. So it comes back and it totally makes sense because we have already seen that this can happen. It doesn't appear out of nowhere. Now I'm a big fan of that because everything that you put into a story, and this is also for writing, if you put something in there, the audience should have already seen it somewhere else. Marvel movies in general are very good at this, I think. They put stuff in the plot earlier and they bring it back later to be part of solutions or part of threats or anything really. This is one of the reasons why I like MCU movies so much, even though they're, you know, just superhero movies. One of the things that I really want to address, in the first Iron Man movie, there is a transphobic comment made by Tony. And it's so fast that I had almost missed it if my girlfriend had not pointed it out to me. The comment is made when Tony insinuates that somebody else has slept with a guy. but it was phrased as a joke in the very fast talking manner that Tony has. Yeah, there was a really pretty lady you went with. What was his name? That is transphobic, people. Don't make that joke. This is a problem in more shows and media than most people know. And I want to do a video on just this because there is so many shows and so many movies that make these fun little quips that are really, really harmful to the trans community, especially to trans women. And I think that should be addressed. So I will be doing a video on that later. So that was the MCU for now. We are skipping the Thor movies, the first two, because we quite recently rewatched them because Ragnarok came out and we do not have them easily accessible. So the next one we'll be looking at is the first Captain America movie. So with some luck I will be putting that out for the next monthly briefing. Now I am aware that I said books when I started this video. I only read one book this month and that was the first Harry Potter. I decided to make separate videos for the Harry Potter books because I'm all grown up now. Anyway. What's my name? And I really look at the books differently now that I am an adult. So keep an eye out for those. I will be posting them whenever I'm ready to and have time to record an extra video. They're outside of the regular schedule. This is most of what I watched and read in January. My question for you is, what shows did you watch? What books did you read? Do you have any recommendations for me? Or you simply want to discuss some of the stuff that I watched because you watched it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Well, let me know in the comments down below and hopefully we can have a nice little discussion about that. Now that's all I've got for you today. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. Now back to the regular schedule. Nope.